next bit, you need your piece of pattern paper. It's your pattern paper number 1. It's the piece that measures 11 centimeters across by 29.5 down. That one's going to go over here. And then you need your big photograph that, so your photo mat for that, that's 18.5 by 29.5. That's going to go over there, and we're going to have it like that. Okay, here's where the tricky part comes in. So we're going to work first to embellish down the bottom here, but I'm also going to work to embellish on top. But I'm not going to stick this little bit down that's going to go on now. This piece here is going to go on top of your page protector, and I'll get around to showing you how that's going to work now. So, but I just want to run through how we're going to embellish this. So this is more or less what you would see in your album. Okay, so I'm going to mat. The time is not measured by minutes but moments. That's going to get matted on over here, and it's going to go more or less the same distance, well, it has to go the same space as this. But when you decide how far in it's going to go, I'm just going to paper clip this together so that it doesn't slip and slide. Right, so when we attach this, we need to attach it so that it is going to cover that when we open up our page, that it covers like that. Okay, so that you will see some embellishing over here, and I'm going to run through that with you in a minute, instead of seeing a piece of the photograph sticking out, so that the whole process flows. Right, so let's get with the embellishments, and then you'll understand a little bit more. So that's going to go there. This is going to go here, more or less. We'll space it 100% a little bit later. Okay, then I want to add this. So again, what the top part that I'm doing now will be what's going to show on your, what's going to be attached to your insert, and not to the page itself. So we do everything and then we'll do that bit, but I'd like for you to see what it's going to look like once we've done that. So that's going to go more or less over there. Then the little ball, the earth ball, that we need, that it's going to go in over here. Okay, and I think we might add this little piecey in here, as you see how we little afterthought, but we'll see. I get distracted. Okay, and then I'm going to have this part, I'd like to see it sticking out behind here, so that's going to go in there more or less. Just force it in there, and that's where these little pieces that I spoke to you about, said keep them. We're going to make it look like it's like a book, so that's going to go there like that. That's going to stick out like that. And I'll just show you now, and then obviously I'll put everything in place that it makes more sense once it's all stuck. But just so that you have an idea of where I'm going with everything. So that's going to go more or less like that, just to make it look like a whole lot of pages that we've put together. And then I want to balance this out with this. So the dude's going to go in over there more or less. I think we're going to bring everything down just a tiny little bit more. And there's my book paper. Okay, that's going to go there. And then I obviously want to cover up this gap. So I've got this, remember this little dude that we cut out? He's going to go in over here. We'll make him fit like that. We've got the little bally that's going to go there, the earth ball, so that's starting to take shape. And then I want to balance what's going on this side, so we're going to put a clock face over here. We're going to add the lock, and then I have the cog that I think we'll put in over there. And that's why I say I do think we need to put one this side as well. We'll play along and see. Okay, that's that. Right, And then we need some gears down the bottom here. So we'll do that. Right. Okay. Right, so this I'm just going to paper clip on, or I'll just turn it very carefully. So this is going to turn with the page onto this side here, and this side here, and then we're going to add the little rest of the embellishments over here. So where's that? That'll go over here. We can add the smaller gear can go in over there. We can just play around until everything fits in place. Okay, so that gives you an idea of where we're going with this. I think that we can add this in over here maybe. I think I like it there. So there's a few little things that we've cut out, little extras that we're going to add now that we've found a place for everything. Okay, so we've got these little goodies that need to be added. I was thinking we could maybe add something here, but it's all stuff that we will add as we go. It's those little extras that make the page pop a little bit more. All right. So I know that that's going to be covered up, but when you open up your page, we're going to see this. So I think that we need to bring in maybe another little gear up over there. Yeah, I think that's going to look good. Okay, so let me get sticking, and then it'll make a lot more sense once everything's in place and I can show you where all the little goodies are going to go. Right, let me put it all together. I'm going to put on some music, start to attach everything, and then I'll be back to show you how to do the front, how we're going to do the front cover. I need to put my pages into my covers to do the next step, so I just want to put lines around everything and have everything placed so we can go into the cover. This one can go in so we can finish with the embellishing. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Right, so we're just going to attach the base of this, and then we'll get started with the decorating. I do need to, I'm just going to take these out the way. I do need to keep this on hand so that I can make sure I get my get it covered correctly. So basically all we need to do now is attach the pattern paper and the photo. Okay, again, the photo you're going to attach so that you can slide some things underneath the one side of it. Okay, so we'll start with the pattern paper, center that so that it's the same distance around the top and the bottom and the sides. Okay, and I'm going to put some glue, but I'm only going to put the glue over here like this. And again, I'll put a strip of tape so that I can then just pull the tape off afterwards, and my photo can be stuck down nicely. Okay, Just give that a good burnish. Trim off any excess. Right, so remember not to pull off that tape, and then you can attach the photograph. Same distance, top, bottom, and side. So you want to make a little gap over here. If you hear the scratching in the background, it's my little Yorkie trying to make himself comfortable. I don't know why he feels he needs to ruffle up the bed before it makes it so untidy, and that's comfortable to sleep on. There we go. That's attached. Now I have space to be able to tuck things in. Right. So the most important thing for me now is to be sure that I get this one on first. So let's attach the title to my photo mat. Okie dokie. Nice and centered. There we go. Again, you just want to make sure all the air bubbles are out. Right. And then my plan is then to put these little goodies like this. Oh, lost one. Right. So I know that I wanted to be able to cover this when the page, let me get that, when my page opens, it needs to cover that. So let's just move this one out the way for a sec. So this is my flap number 2, and that's going to open like that, and this then is going to attach like that. So what I'm going to do then is just draw a pencil line on the back here so that I know that that's what's going to be attached to the front of my page or to my photo mat. And that's more or less where it's going to fit. Okie dokie. Let's get this one back here. Running out of space. Okay. I'm just going to shift this a little bit out the way. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, no, wait, wrong way. This is the front. So this is going to go on the front here like that, and I need it that far in. I'm just going to keep it here now for decorating purposes, just so we can get those first few embellishments in on the right spot. Okay, so there we go. So I'm just going to take that mark, you can see there, I'm going to bring it to the front so that I know more or less, or we could just measure, it might be easier. So it's 3 centimeters. There we go. I just need to know more or less from the front where it's going to be. Okay. So I'm going to embellish this little piece first. So I have all the goodies that I want to go in here on first, and then we can carry on with the rest of it. But I will be using this as my guide, but I have to work very carefully so that I don't stick it to this page. So here, and we know that this one was 7 centimeters from the bottom, so this is going to be also 7 centimeters from the bottom of the page, so that I know that's also more or less where it needs to, when I attach it, that's more or less where I'm going to attach it. Okay, so the first little piece that needs to go on here now is my little arrow. I have only put glue down the body of the arrow, not around the circle. Okay, but it might not be enough, so we'll see. I might have put too much on. So I'm going to put this on, I think, so that the arrow kind of lines up with, it's sort of centered, but the arrow, where the arrow starts, lines up with the pattern paper on my photo mat like that. I think that's a good place for it to be. And I know that it's going to go in over there 3 centimeters, and we know 7 centimeters from the bottom, so that's more or less where that's going to go. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then, like I said, I did cut out the clock that's going to go in over here. Okay, I need this part done to guide where I'm going to do the bits that go at the bottom. Then I said I wanted to put the little globe. Yeah, see, I put too much glue on too far up, but that's fine. Okay, I also know now that when I put it on my insert, that none of this is going to show on the other side. All right, so what we need now is that we need this piece and we need the little globe. So I know that I want the globe to go in over here, so I'm just going to lift this piece of the arrow and slide my globe, the body of my globe, in underneath that, like that. Okay, that gives me a starting point. I think my little 12 is a bit skew. My clock is on skew. I just want to put it on straight. So there would be straight and centered, and then my little globe's going to go on the front of that like that. Right, and then I have the little dude that I cut out. He's also going to go behind this. I want some of him to go behind the arrow and some of him to go on top like that, so he kind of overlaps, and we need him to go in maybe just a little bit. I think there's good, so a little bit overlaps the clock, and he's at a slight angle. I shouldn't have put too much glue. I put the glue on too high. So the reason I want that I don't want to cover the arrow, I want to be able to see all parts of the arrow. Okay, that's why I'm making sure that he goes behind like that. Okay, so that you can see that this draws your attention down to the time. I think that's going to look that looks pretty good. Right, now most of this is going to be attached to the front cover. So I'm going to make the 3 centimeter mark at the bottom because I've covered it at the top. Okay, so we know we're going to go 7 centimeters from the bottom and 3 centimeters. So when I turn this over now, okay, I have my line. That's what's going to stick out on the other side. I don't want the arrow. I don't want so much of the arrow to be showing, so I'm going to move it. That's the joys of the repositional glue. I want to move it then so that it's slightly off center, because I don't want this part to show. So when this goes in now, it's pretty covered up. Okay, but now this part is showing, and that's where the other little dude that we cut out, he is going to go over here. So he then covers covers that up like that. And I also don't want this to be like this. So what I did is I cut a piece of, I cut it a little bit bigger. I cut a piece of pattern paper to fit behind here like that. So it's 3 centimeters by 15.5, I think it was 16. 3 centimeters by 16. You can choose any of the pattern that you have left over. I have chose this so that it picks up with the flap. I'll show you now when we put everything on. No, it needs to go. No, I did that. The pattern paper needs to cover the man where the man joins, so he looks like he's tucked under and forms part of the cluster like that. All right. So let's see now. Right, so that is going to be, this is where it's going to go. 3 centimeters in, about 7 down, like that. So when we turn the page now, when it turns over, that's what we see. Okay, so there is still a little bit of that, but we'll fix that. That's not a big deal. I can fix that. I can maybe even move it over just a little bit more. No, if I move it over, then it's going to look a bit odd. So I'll find something to put there as well, even if it's just a piece of plain cardstock. But that is how that part gets done. Right. So to decorate the rest of it then, so remember, this is your flap number 3. This is what you're going to see before you turn. We need to get that in place. Make sure it doesn't move. All right. Then, like I said, this is going to be attached 7 centimeters from the bottom. So we just want to line that up. I'm just going to make a mark so that I know I've got a point to start from. So we know that that's going to lay flush on there like that. We know that this, where's my 3 centimeter mark and my 7 centimeter mark, that's going to go in like that, but on the insert, there's more or less. So I'm just going to use a paper clip to hold it in place over here for now, because we're not done embellishing and adding the last little bits to the layout, so that we know that's going to go there more or less. Okay, so now based on that, we need to add the other embellishments. And if you recall, I said I want to slide this one in. I want that one to go in so that it looks like it's sticking out behind the little dude. It's going to go more or less over there. You can even bring it down just a little bit. Okay. And then I want to add, before I attach that, I want to add what would look like pages. So this little piecey here, we don't need the whole piece, we can just put that in like that. So you can do it so that you can have the same amount or less around. You can have more sticking out the top than at the bottom. I think I want to have mine to look more or less the same at the top and the bottom sticking out. And then we have this little piece. So remember, we just want to make sure that everything looks good underneath and at the top. So that little piece we're going to pop in like that, so that it looks like it forms part of the layers of paper that we've got under here. Oops, and I forgot one. Okay, so that's looking good. Okay, so remember I need to add this little piece in as well before I do anything else. So he should go in about there. We double check. Remember, he must look like he's sticking out from behind this. So you don't want to attach this one so that he's like just the hat sticks out or just his hand. You need to attach it so that it looks like it forms part of your cluster, that you planned to have it there. Okay, so he can go about over there, and we can bring him in just a little bit closer maybe. There we go. So I call this embellishing in 3D, so that you've got to get your layers right. You can't just go ahead and just stick things. You've got to think about where you want them and make sure that your plan is going to work. So then this moves down a little bit. It still forms a good part of the cluster. We can still slide it underneath there. Move this back. There we go. Can even bring this up a little bit higher. I think that's going to look good. That looks fine there, I think. I'm happy with that. So now I want to bring the little clock face in. Okay, so I'm going to use the clock face to hide this join over here. And again, you want to be certain about what's showing through the little hole if you've made them. And if you can't if you can't set it up so that it's something nice showing, we just put we'll make a plan to cover that up. But there we go. I think that looks good like that. And then remember that small little gear that we cut out, that one can go over here. These are the little extras, right? So we want the lock, the little locks, they need to go in, but they need to make sense, and they need to flow with the little, where did that go? There it is, with the little number 5, so that your cluster looks similar to the one that you did down the bottom. This one, I think we can put it up here, and then we can move the clocks like that. Let's see if they all still fit in, and it looks like part of the yes. So that all still makes quite a bit good sense like that. Right, behind the clock, we can add this little cog just to add some interest and to extend the cluster down a little bit. I think it looks good there. We can even put it underneath just a little bit more. Happy with that. That also then creates a little bit of dimension here. Right, and then to make sure that it still flows, I can move this up now. Right, so that the whole cluster flows, I'm going to add my little gears over here. We can slide it under. There we go. Remember, it's going to be underneath this. We can actually move that so that it's a little bit more upper like that. Okay. Right, so when I open my page, when we flip over, the clustering here still makes sense. Right, so I'm going to just move these last few goodies that we need to add. Right, so let's put everything together and we can see how it's going to all work before I put it into the page protector. Remember, before it goes into your page protector, if you need to draw your lines around the edges and that kind of thing. Right. Okay, and then I think that this little happy will look really good over here. And remember, I've only put a little bit of glue at the bottom so that I'm able to slide my photograph in like that. So there we go, that's everything in place except for the little key. We'll do that in a bit. But I do think that it all flows really well, and especially once I've got this on, and then we've just got the little arrows to add, which we'll do in a bit. Okay, so there we go. So if I line it up here, take it across, I've got my 7 centimeters from the bottom, my 3 centimeters from the side, so that it all flows really well. And then just to draw a little bit of attention to everything, I'm going to add the little arrows. Okay, I'm going to, we're just going to put these little arrows that we did. I think it'll look good if we add, just to tie everything in. So I'm going to use a blue one and the yellow one, so the Uncharted Mariner and the Fossilized Amber. I think that we can do with them running down here. So we'll put one over there and one over here. Like that. Okay, and then the other one we'll add over here. We'll put a blue one and a yellow one. Just to, when you're looking at the page, as before we start to go through with the flaps, you're looking at everything as a whole like that. Put that one more or less, okay. This then helps create your visual triangle. So this looks down, this looks in, and this keeps you looking in like that. Okay, so I'm quickly going to add some gel lines to everything that I want the lines, and then I'll be back to put the album insert in. Oh, and the one thing we forgot to add, see it now, is the little arrow. Okay, and I see that there must have been glue or something here. And I'll just fix that with some ink, but I'll fix that. Okie dokie, there we go. So I'll be able to slide my photo underneath that at a later stage. Right, so let me quickly add the gel lines and I will then see you in a bit. Right, there you go, that's the lines around everything. So now we want to put it into our page inserts. And you're just going to have to bear with the little reflection. Okay. So this one, we have to have it going, it goes on this side. Okay, so this is the first page that we're going to put in. And because this part goes into your album, we're going to pop it in the wrong way around. Okay. So this goes in like that. All right. Then we're going to add this one. So this one facing me like that. It's going to pop on this side like that. Then we're going to put in the other side. Now remember, this is the part that will be inside your album, so it's going to open like that. So we can attach, we can pop in the bigger flap. It's going to catch on there. The nice part is that I can print my photos later, take everything out and add it. So this part is going to be, when you open your album, that's what you're going to see. So we need to put this one in now. That one will slide in like that. Okay. So that is what you'll see when you open your album. I'll move it up a little bit. There we go. Okay. So your when you open your album, your layout is going to look like that, and there will be this flap and then that flap. So what we need to do now is add that extra embellishing that I said would go on the top. That's going to add to making our page look a little bit 3D and a little bit more interactive. So remember we said we needed to go 7 centimeters from the bottom. I've still got my mark there, and I still have my 3 centimeter mark there, so I know that it's going to go in over there and over there. Okay, and then that's still true to everything in here, not too far up. And if I line it up with here, I can still see that it's going to line up with that one over there. If I put my paper clip on, I know when I open it up, it's going to cover that. Okay. So now we need to attach this. I'm going to use tape and glue, and I would suggest, if you do have the red tape, because it is quite a strong one, that you use that. Right, so we'll put that on. Okay. Remember that your pattern paper is going to be sticking out, so if you want to be sure that we get the tape, we'll measure the 3 centimeters. Lost my pencil. So there's the 3 centimeter mark there. So that's where I'm going to put the next piece of tape, but slightly away from that mark. So we'll put it slightly away. There we go, that's good. Right, and I'm going to just put one more strip, and then we're going to add the glue. Right, so you just want to make sure that that's all burnished on properly, that there's good adherence to the paper. Okay, so we can remove the tape, or you can just do a double check that no tape is going to show. So if I put it like that, none of the red tape is going to show. But by putting some glue over it also gives me an opportunity to shift things. Right. I'm going to use my art glitter glue. Right. So I'm going to put the glue on my tape. As well as the cardstock, and as well as on my little embellishments, to be sure that it's all going to stick. I know that that part's going to be covered. There we go. Right, so here we go. We need to get that 3 centimeters. There's my 7 centimeter mark. There's my 3 centimeter mark there. I want to be sure that I get it on nice and straight before I push everything down. Double check that it's in the right place. I think I got it 100% straight. There we go. Double check everything. So you can measure 3 centimeters and it looks pretty straight before I burnish everything in place. I'm going to double check that. So I know that my page is going to, my insert's going to sit here. When I open my page now, I need to be sure that this is going to cover my photograph. And that is exactly what it's going to do. Okay, I can even let it come out just a little bit more, like a smidgen. Can we shift it over a teeny tiny bit? Let me double check it. There we go. Line that up there. Perfect. That's better. So that would maybe be the easiest, is to put that on where the photo mat is and then just put it down. Then I know I've got it in the exact spot it should be. Okay, and then I do have a little bit of this sticking out, but we can fix that now. Alright, so when we open this up now, I'm going to put this little embellishment over here. I think I had it so that it comes down a little bit, like that. Now that there is a little bit something there, and then I just want to make sure that I have everything adhered in place really well. So I'll just use the bar. So you want to be sure that it's not going to come off your plastic. You just want to burnish everything nicely in place. Okay, and then my little dude, he could do with a gel line. And there you go, that's everything in place. So if this was in your album, this is what you would see. And again, if you are not wanting to do the interactive, you can do just that part. So it'll flow. This part, this will flow with that. You can just leave this out. The project will still flow beautifully. Right, so there we go. So this is how you'll see it in your album. Then you can turn it like that. So that's your inside, and you can barely see the stitching. Once it's in and held nice and tight with the little prongs, you'll barely see where we've stitched. And then here is that interactive part that's on the outside, and then opens up like that, and it'll hide that, and it all looks like it forms part of your cluster over here. Right, there you go, ladies. I hope that you've enjoyed the workshop, and I look forward to seeing your projects on Facebook. Thank you for watching.